Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, who is speaking at the Microsoft Future Ready Leadership Summit right here in Mumbai.
Things, at least in my professional career of the 30 years. And cloud still, you would say, is in the early to intermediate innings, because the first thing, the data point which is still stunning to me is how much more efficient the cloud is, right? The cloud native applications have really not yet begun. The fundamental point is that by 2025, you're going to have most of the applications anybody builds really at that efficient frontier of cloud native, right? It's 10x, 100x better even in some cases. But it's not just that. When you move to the cloud, for example, it's 70 to 80% more energy efficient. So if you want to sort of be more energy efficient on any workload, the first thing to do is to move to the cloud. And you also hedge against demand cycles, right? So by moving to the cloud, you're consuming only when you need it. So whether it's a hedge against energy, a hedge against demand, and get more efficient with cloud native development. And so to me, that trifecta is pretty compelling. And so we are investing a ton. We have 60 plus regions, 200 plus data centers worldwide. In India itself, we have regions everywhere. We're expanding the regions. We're adding a fourth region in Hyderabad as well. So we are very, very committed to making, I'll call it, the cloud infrastructure available everywhere. But it's just not in the cloud, because every factory, every warehouse, every hospital is going to also have, or every retail facility is going to need compute where data is getting generated. So distributed computing will remain distributed. And so with Azure Arc, we're even making sure that the cloud infrastructure gets truly embedded in the physical infrastructure. That's sort of the future of the cloud. The cloud's not just in our data centers, but it comes to every place where you need compute to be. And we see tremendous momentum today when it comes to cloud adoption. In fact, when I think about Microsoft, that's been the big, when in the client-server era, we sold a few servers in India. But in the cloud era, it's a completely different ballgame, right? When I look at every business and the cloud consumption, it's tremendous to see. We see Adani choosing Azure for its expansion, HFDC, using it, in fact, to consolidate all of the data platforms. And Yes Bank built their super app. So tremendous adoption of cloud. And in fact, the more and more I talk to my partners and customers here, I get excited about sort of even the unique things that are happening in India using the cloud. And that's really definitely a real departure from the previous era. The next imperative, it's all in the news, everybody's talking about it, is AI. And there's no question that when we look back 5 years, 10 years from now, we will talk about this transition. The good news for us at least, is that this transition from client-server to cloud was interesting. It was sort of harsh in some cases, but we made it. Whereas in this AI transition, this builds on the cloud transition. It's very hard because the large models that are creating this transition are all mostly possible, quite frankly, because of that cloud-native ability that the cloud provides to be able to train these large models. And in fact, one of the things that is sort of stunning is, we talk a lot about data and the amount of data that's going to be generated, but the point is these generative models are going to generate most of the data, right? And that is just starting. So we said, let's have some fun. So let's say we go to DALL-E and ask it to generate some images. On Mumbai, it sort of creates beautiful art. This is going to be the future that you're going to all live in. So it's some of them are at least very interesting. Then we said, okay, that's cool. Let's ask ChatGPT, what does it think about the future of Mumbai? And it sort of came up with some pretty compelling narrative, right? I mean, it sort of has real optimism that I talked about. It also shares. It talks about both, whether it's infrastructure, the tech involved, the culture. So pretty cool. So then I said, okay, let's get to the real meat of it. Let's ask it to rank order the street food of Mumbai. And it has an opinion. So it did come back. And Vada Pav wins. And then I asked it, where can I find the best Vada Pav? Not that I want to create some kind of a challenge for anybody here, but it sort of came back with places, whether I don't know whether Bandra wants to argue its case, but it's here. And here's the thing. I then went on to say, okay, write a play where Vada Pav argues its greatness. And it did it. And so you should say, oh, okay, this is all fun. Let's actually see it. Like, it'll prompt it, and a little bit of prompt engineering, and it came back. You know, even Shakespeare would be proud of that. The thing is, this is all fun and games, right? But think about what you just are seeing. You're seeing the emergence of a new reasoning engine. This reasoning engine, clearly we will have to talk about it. What's the responsible use of it? What is the displacement it may cause? Those are all real important considerations. But the other side of it is, let's think about how it can augment every one of us in whatever it is that we're doing. Every knowledge worker is going to be more creative, more expressive, more productive. Every frontline worker will be able to do more knowledge work than they ever were able to do because of this co-pilot being there for them. Every design task, whether it's software engineering, mechanical design, architecture, pick your design task, is going to be that much more productive going forward. So it's ultimately, in my opinion, going to accelerate human creativity, human ingenuity, and human productivity across a range of tasks. It's going to be probably a golden age of what was predominantly, if you think about the computer revolution, it created mass consumer behavior change and productivity for knowledge workers. But what if we could spread that productivity across the board much more evenly? To me, that I think is probably one of the biggest things that we can look forward to. So the first thing, though, you have to do is really build a very robust data infrastructure, because there's no way you can benefit from a lot of the AI if you don't have robust data infrastructure. And that's where we are investing a ton. When we think about the data infrastructure, you've got to have the best-in-class operational data stores for SQL and NoSQL, and that's where we've really, with whether it's Cosmos and SQL, we've done some fantastic work. And in real time, by the way, in real time, you want to be able to take that data from your operational stores and feed it into your analytics stores. And from the analytics stores to governance, because one of the biggest things is provenance of data is going to be one of the biggest things we're going to be talking about. Where did the data come from? Where did the AI model get trained? Can I actually audit that training off on top of that data? All of that, you need one integrated data framework. And so we're really making sure we build a fantastic piece of infrastructure so that it's available to every business. Next thing is, let's say you have infrastructure.